And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Europe, number 229. I'm, of course, your Live VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the people in the chat, by my plushies, and these incredible players as well. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to something a little bit different. We have been catching up. We did the same thing last week. We've been catching up with some of these ESL weekly broadcasts. For those that are curious, both ESL Americas and ESL Europe occurred earlier this week, a couple of days ago, and we are going to be going over those replays to catch up on all these tournaments before DreamHack Dallas. Before DreamHack rocks around, we will be catching up just to get again a bit of a better feel for the state of play for a lot of these players, and of course to catch up on all the StarCraft. Of course. I'm your host Live VIP. You're the CranKy Ducklings, and we usually cast ESL Asia and Americas live. We haven't been able to cast Americas live for the past couple of weeks. The reason for this is because my sleep schedule. My sleep schedule has been very European focused these past couple of weeks, just because of the tournaments we've been casting, and it's going to stay that way throughout the DreamHack Dallas weekend, because we are going to be casting DreamHack Dallas at least the first day, maybe the second day as well, but we're going to be busy casting, and that means that I have to make sure that I'm awake when I should be asleep, and asleep when I should be awake. So hopefully what I'm getting at, hopefully next week I'm going to be able to cast ESL Americas live. Won't have to resort to these replay casts instead, which I look forward to, because fun fact that we don't actually get that many replays submitted for the Americas broadcast for some reason. I'm shaking my head. So we'll be going over that later on. We're going to be going over both, I should say. ESL Open Cup Europe first, followed by ESL Open Cup Americas. That's going to be the structure of today's broadcast. Europe first, as Europe does occur first, like I almost said canonically. In the lore, Europe is first, followed by the Americas. Again, structurally, or Europe is a couple of hours before the Americas weekly. So we'll be going through that in order. So yeah. Exciting stuff, especially considering the player lineup we have for you today. Oh my god, Papi, already we have ByuN versus SKillous. I believe this is a quarterfinals match, and this is a match that I was not expecting here. I was not expecting in the tournament, as ByuN has been traveling abroad. ByuN is not in Korea. That's why he's competing here tonight. Yeah, sorry, I was sorry, I was a little bit distracted. But ByuN has been traveling. ByuN, for those who have been paying attention to social media, ByuN has been posting. I mean, not just ByuN, but Shopify have been posting, because ByuN is in Canada at the moment. He's been in Canada for the past couple of weeks. I imagine acclimating to the NA time zone, to the NA region. Not just ByuN, but Lambo, Hearthstone, Scarlet, they've all been staying at the Shopify HQ in Canada in preparation to move down to DreamHack Dallas in a couple of days. So because of that means ByuN, he can play in the EU weekly. I mean, that's crazy. we never get to see ByuN play in these weeklies, so specifically the European weekly. So I'm excited to dive on in and to cast ByuN versus SKillous up next. Lore noted. Ah, true. Hello, Pecoeta. Hello. Hello, Pecoeta. SC2 as well. I see Ligo in the chat. Warehug, Rowdy, Baby Link as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you've all been having a great day and a great week. Hope you're all the best. And here we go. We're diving on in to Site Delta as game one. Let's go. Let us go. So again, we're going to be going over the EU broadcast first, followed by the Americas broadcast. That's going to be the plan here tonight. And again, starting next week, I should be able to provide coverage for at least Americas live, no longer via replays. But spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Here we go. We have our TvP, and again, you rarely get to see ByuN compete in these weeklies, just because picking from Korea to EU is actually pretty awful. It's pretty rough. That's also the reason why we rarely get to see any Europeans competing in the Korea Weekly as well. I mean, it's not just the ping, it's also the time slot as well, as it is starting, I want to say, at midnight in Korea. This tournament typically does, sorry, to say midnight, like 2 a.m., like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning is usually when this tournament does begin. So that's why we rarely get to see them kind of cross over to each other, and yeah, it's exciting stuff here. We'll see how ByuN can compare to some of these players, especially on some lower ping now that he's in Canada. Likewise, SKillous has been popping up. You know, like a big shout to SKillous. He has been doing so well for himself. He popped off 2 weeks ago at Stars War 11. For those that were maybe tuning in to the broadcast here on the CranKy Ducklings, we had a big offline event happening in China. Did happen in China 2 weeks ago, where SKillous had an insanely good run. He made it all the way to the semi-finals, and in those semis he went to the ace match against Hero in a best of 7. By the way, it went all the way to game 7. Likewise, we had SKillous versus Oliveira, a much more dominant showing from SKillous, bringing down Oliveira in the quarterfinals in a best of 5. So SKillous has been hot as of late, and I've been really excited to see how he's going to perform at DreamHack, likewise in this weekly as well. So I am very excited. I'm very quickly becoming more of a SKillous fan nowadays, but we'll see. But now it's going to be a standard opener from our Protoss. It's going to be a gate expand Cybercore. Likewise, across the map we do have ByuN opening up with a Rax expand economic opener back at home. This is a breath of fresh air, not gonna lie. We've been casting a lot of TvPs, especially during KSL. We casted KSL last night, and the Zerg players got taken out really early on. It was just purely Terran and Protoss, and we saw so many double gas openers. Oh my god, as ByuN is going 3cc. The exact opposite of a double gas opener, a very greedy build here. It looks like 3cc, 3 racks. I've been echoing this for a couple of weeks now. This has been a very trendy build as of late. A lot of the Korean Terrans like ByuN and Maru and Cure have been mixing this in. Likewise, some of the European Terrans have as well. We've seen Clem whip this out. We've seen Hero Marine. Well, I'm not sure if I mean, I don't get to see much of Big Gay, but I think maybe even Hero Marine's been whipping it out as well, and for sure Clem at least. And it is a very greedy economic opener that leads into a stim timing, assuming that we're getting a third CC moment, sorry, a third Rax momentarily. And there it is. Yeah, 3cc, 3 Rax has become a lot more trendy as of late. And this build can be punished depending on how aggressive SKillous is going to be. It's going to be a blink-based opener out of our Protoss player. We only have 2 gateways for the time being. 1 gateway at the natural, 1 gateway here in the main, so 2 gate blink from our Protoss. And we'll see if we go up to 3 or 4 gateways here as we are setting up for an expansion. This is a little bit worrisome. So, again, this is a very greedy build. It can be punished with certain responses and certain reactions, but otherwise you should be able to get away with this. And this builds up towards a very strong, there it is, stim timing. A stim is on the way. We're going to be banking up Marines and Marauders. We're going to be heading across the map with a hefty army. And if SKillous is too greedy, if he cuts too many corners, then this could straight up kill. We have seen many a Protoss player just fall over to this initial timing. This is not an all-in. I mean, we have a third base behind this that we're going to be expanding into, but this still hits like a truck. Again, so I wonder as we get into the main base, very nice shade out of SKillous as ByuN was late on the draw there, and we get a full scan of everything. We confirm the 1-1, sorry, we confirmed the 3 racks, we confirmed the stim timing, the massive ByuN that's upon us, and now SKillous is getting ready back at home. Now, most important thing here is to be proactive with our army. There we go, Storks are moving out. It's so important here to engage with the Marines in the map, on the map. As soon as they start moving out, we need to engage. We need to pick away some Marines. We need to maybe even force a stim. That would be the ideal. Bearing in mind, this push is happening without medevacs. There are no medevacs here for this, so every stim does hurt the army. So again, SKillous just parked right outside the base, ready to slow down ByuN. Behind this, we got the Bay on the way for Colossus. We are skipping our Immortal. Risky move here by SKillous. Yeah, he's going to be skipping his safety Immortal, going straight for Colossus production. Stim is almost done as we're making a wave of Marauders to top this off. You can see already here SKillous catching 1 Marine, going for another as well. ByuN is dragging SKillous a bit out of position, but okay, we're coming back. We're pulling back over, making sure we are in position. And back at him, okay, there it is. There's that Immortal on the way. A little bit later, as it's going to eat into our Robotics Bay timing. So a little bit less than ideal, but the Immortal's on the way nonetheless. And ByuN is not pushed. We should have pushed by now, especially with Stim finished. We do have now more add-ons on the way. It looks like, okay, so ByuN, especially because he got scattered, very mature decision, because he knows that SKillous knows what he's up to, he's not going to push. He's going to wait, at least for medevacs. We have 2 more medevacs on the way, so this is going to be a later timing for ByuN, but now he has a little bit more flexibility. He has a little bit more sustain with his army. Stalkers get pushed away, and ByuN does go for the Stim. Ooh, catches 1 Stalker, and barely gets another as well. Not a bad start here for ByuN. Catching Skills a bit off guard, and we don't quite get another. Back at home, what do we have to defend? We have the first Colossus almost done. We have the Immortal now popping out, and ByuN is reinforcing. He is pushing. And what's important is when he stimmed, he only stimmed half of his army. The other half still has a stim in it. Here we go. Medevacs have arrived. Once again, trying to catch out some Stalkers. Good blinks here from SKillous. Does manage to get away. Colossus has arrived, and we have defended. By this point, yeah, we have defended. We forced a stim away from the army. As I say that, have we overextended those SKillous pushing out onto the map? Sentries go down, a couple of adepts as well. Can we catch the Immortal? It looks like we can. The Immortal barely goes down as well. The Stalkers, oh my god. ByuN, the target firing. Catching some extra Stalkers towards the end there, and yeah, that was a less than ideal fight for SKillous. Bleeding out 6 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, an Immortal for a bio army, a cheap army. More importantly, SKillous did at least keep his Colossus alive, but yeah, that was a brutal trade. Behind this, ByuN is fully saturated on 3 bases. He's up in workers, up in economy. It's a saturation plus mules. We'll see ByuN building up here at that 3rd. He is building up. Back at home, SKillous likewise also working towards the 4th base, building up his gateways. Massing up an army. And he's going to once again try to collapse on this. We don't really have that much to support the army. Yeah, the Colossus, one of them goes down. We come in for a flank. The other is also exposed. We do barely keep it alive, but the Vikings are going to chase it down. Not quite. Colossus backs off. And the charge outs are getting in some work here, but we pull back to the mineral line. Oh, the boys are being pulled. Yeah, the Zealots don't quite bust in, but that Colossus is so low. Despite these reinforcements, the backbone of this army is looking a bit fragile. We have another Colossus on the way. But SKillous trying to maintain this position with only 1 as the Viking count is getting higher. Like, this is risky. SKillous dipping in, catching a couple of units. We go for the scan, we spot the army. The Vikings, they pick off the Prism and the Colossus as well. And brutal pickoffs. Zealot runback comes in from behind, doesn't quite bust into the natural. As we try to go first around, and we avoid it. Hot pick up here by ByuN, dropping into the mineral line, and again, the SimCity working against SKillous. Does get a couple of swipes in. But we're running out of reinforcements. Remember, we lost that War Prism. Yeah, there's no War Prism, there's no reinforcements. We dive on the army, the Colossus. Oh, can we barely get away? With these Marauders, I don't think we can. Yeah, we're gonna hunt it down. SKillous bleeding out everything. Zealot runback comes in. We did get 11 SCVs. That was some good economic damage. But it cost us every single Colossus. Back at home, we're down to 1. Our worker count is solid. But again, the strength of a Protoss army is building up that those high-tech units. Units like Colossus, Disruptors, Immortals. But every time we engage, we lose some. Now we're still stuck on 1. Meanwhile, ByuN's army is becoming more refined. Now it goes with EMPs. We have 2-2 on the way, plus 1 ship weapons to help out with the Vikings. We don't actually have that many Vikings yet, so most of them went down. We're down to 1. I imagine we're going to be going back into Vikings after this next wave of medevacs. We do have our next base on the way. And SKillous hasn't taken extra gases. That is concerning. Now, basically what's happening here, because SKillous is staying on a low gas count, we can't actually afford a second rowboat and double Colossus production. That's why we're so heavily reliant on Zealots. We're so heavily reliant on Zealots. Any spare gas that we've had has been spent rebuilding Colossus and rebuilding these Stalkers. So SKillous just hasn't had the economy to really invest too much into this, into his robo-based army. He's just been stuck making one Colossus at a time. Going for a Zealot counterattack. Oh, the planetary isn't quite done yet. We can definitely get some damage done. We do dive in. SV is going to be going down. ByuN is committed. The Prism! No! Oh, the Prism is under fire. We do drop the Colossus, thankfully. Colossus is going to be saved. The Prism falls. Colossus as well as it got one extra swipe in. Yeah, Planetary did complete. 11 SCVs went down. Again, that was a pretty successful Zealot run by. But we basically have a pure Zealot army. And the EMPs, they do connect. Connects with half the Zealots. Going to be kiting back. Viking once again going ham. Reinforcements have arrived and ByuN is going to overwhelm this force. The Zealots, they melt. The Colossus falls as well. And there's nothing left. Again, just over the course of this game, just some brutal fights and brutal trades. Not in favor of SKillous. The dominoes have fallen one after the other. Again, that first overextension from SKillous was brutal. The Colossus goes down. We're down to a handful of Stalkers. Trying to hold on to our natural. Fourth base is exposed. The army is overstimmed and we are running out of energy, true, but it's still just too much. As SKillous desperately warps in some Zealots to try to hold on, to try to survive. And there's not that much Terran left. But it's still too much. Oof, the juggling! We juggle over, we dodge some shots. More Zealots have right. I mean, hey, SKillous holds. Takes down the medevac. SKillous does barely hold on. Bleeds out 16 workers in the process, but we do survive. Barely. Meanwhile, 3-3 is on the way. We're working on our next upcoming Colossus. ByuN just trying to brute force his way through here to a win. And eventually it will happen. There are ways to come back, and I believe we did make a Dark Shrine. Yep, we do have a Dark Shrine behind this. So there's potential with DTs, with the Invisible Man, maybe. If we had Disruptors, potentially as well. I mean, we saw Creator last night pull off an insane comeback. Zealots come in first round. Still engaged there from SKillous, but here we go. We do reinforce once again. The Zealots, we kite against them. That one Colossus doing what it can, but against a mainly Marauder army, the Colossus just tickles them. Oh, we don't have that much anti-air. The juggling is good. We can juggle, papi. But Marines have arrived. Now we can shoot up. Now we can try to focus on that Prism. Stimming once again. Try to focus down the Vikings. Colossus shaving off a lot of Marines and a lot of Marauders there. We break back in. I mean, it's been impressive that SKillous has been able to hold on the way that he has. Even here. Doesn't help either that ByuN, it looks like he has been stimming his entire army. Which has been helping. Running out of medevacs. Back at home we have 4 CCs on the way. My god. That's a lot of CCs. And ByuN, he's calming things down. He's regrouping, reinforcing his army before moving out, before hitting some of these more fringe bases, I imagine. Or just continuing to just go right through the middle, right through the center. And now ByuN has a large enough force. This time he breaks through the Gateway army without much issue. And now he can stim forward. Once again, SKillous microing his heart out. Juggling the Colossus. Do peel off a couple of units. Zealots, they come in from the left-hand side. Once again, not a bad engage here from SKillous. If only he hadn't lost so many Colossus earlier. And he does take a fight. This time he saves a Colossus. Bappy. Let's go. Okay, it costs us 12 probes. Costs us a lot of workers. Well, that was probably the best fight that SKillous has had in quite some time. In a couple of minutes. Was able to come in against so heavily reliant on mass zealots. They haven't been doing too poorly for themselves. Oof. Okay, EMPs are brutal. Mine shots going off. Cell's falling once again. We're just trying to get on top of that Prism. Vikings are coming in. Prism now under threat. And GG gets called as finally SKillous is broken. He held on for quite some time, but it was very much so an uphill battle. GG, ByuN takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh my god. Again, impressive play towards the end there by SKillous. Unfortunately, it was something that we were lacking a little bit in the early to mid game. We spoke about it, but early on, SKillous did arguably overcommit with his army at times, bleeding out early Colossus, bleeding out early gateway units, and it all did give ByuN such a lead and such an edge early on. It did allow him to get so much map control and got him so much damage with his first big push as well. Things, yeah, very quickly snowballed out of control. Again, it did feel like SKillous got a better handle of things as the game progressed, but at that point, he was already behind. That's the problem there. Is by that point, he did already fall a little bit too far behind. You know, the micro was coming in a little bit too late there, but still impressive stuff there by SKillous. And we'll see if we can bounce back coming into game 2. It's going to be loading into Oceanborn. Let's go. Let us go. This morning, in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our blue Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion from the land of South Korea, leading the series 1-0. As a reminder, it's a best of 3. Can he win it all here and now? It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Liquid down in the series, has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is SKillous. Let's go. Catching with the chat. Why no storms? In the early game against a 3-Rax, it was a lot more necessary to rush into that Colossus. If you remember, the initial Colossus did keep SKillous safe and actually allowed him to survive the initial 3-Rax push. It is something where if you were trying to rush into something like Storm or Archons in that kind of scenario, things would not turn out well. If you're referring to maybe a transition, again, we were referring to the low gas count that SKillous had. As he did choose to stay on low gas count, his style there was more mass zealot heavy. And the goal there is to rely on preserving your Colossus. Like, if there's a world out there where SKillous, if he's able to build up his Colossus count up to 3 and just maintain that and just focus on purely zealot warpins, like, he can overwhelm the Terran. Like, that's a kind of a terrifying play style that can very quickly overwhelm a player like ByuN, or a Terran player, I should say. But I mean, because we were bleeding out Colossus, yeah, we didn't get there. Get there in the end, but for now, gonna be settling in. It is gonna be once again an economic opener here out of ByuN and going for the Rax expand. Single gas opener out of our Terran player. SKillous has not scouted, no probe scouts, so we're a little bit in the dark as to what ByuN is up to. But again, it's a little more commonplace here to be seeing more macro openers from ByuN in a TvP. Whether he goes for another 3cc is not going to be the case. Okay, it's going to be a Rax expand into not just 1 Rax, this could just be a straight up 3 Rax. And there it is. There's the 3rd Rax. Okay, so this is similar to the last game, but more committed. In the last game, ByuN had the luxury of not pushing with the sim timing. If you remember, SKillous scouted ByuN, and ByuN, he just stayed at home, waited for his Medivacs, and then moved out. And even though he wasn't able to get any economic damage done, he had an economic lead because of his fast 3rd CC. That is not going to be the case this time. This time it's a little more committed. This time ByuN needs to get more done. And it is going to hit a little bit harder as well. And we'll see if SKillous can get a read on this. Now, last game, SKillous did scout the production. Was able to scout ahead of time. And we'll see if we can do it again. Ooh, as SKillous is going for a Stargate opener. That is dangerous. Not impossible to defend with Stargate openers, but it is a little bit more difficult. as 3-Rax builds are ideal against Phoenix openers. Oh, and it is not a Phoenix. It's going to be Oracle. Okay. That's a good start. Oracle's going to be moving out. And that will help when it comes to scouting. Natural base is being taken. Adepts likewise threatening a shade. ByuN working towards combat shields first. So Adepts are shading in. Scout is denied. Marines are revealed. At this point, you can assume... I mean, 3-Rax is definitely an option here based on just pure Marines and no Hellions and no Mines, but it could also be a 2-1-1, which is not unheard of in this matchup. It is rare, true. Oracle does dip in. And we get a full scout. We get eyes on the 3-Rax, get eyes on the ByuN. We get a handful of SC... we get one SCV and a Marine. We get some pickups, more importantly, we scout. And this time, safety immortal. Let's go. If you remember, we skipped this last game. We went double observer first into an immortal, into delayed Colossus. Phase on the way. Immortal's coming out. Yeah, no observer production this time from SKillous. Is preparing back at home. Yeah, double shield battery as well. SKillous, he also didn't just see the 3-Raxes, he confirmed there was no third CC. So he knows it's going to hit that much harder. Is preparing. Third base on the way. Stasis trap as well. SKillous taking this very seriously. And here we go. Here comes that first push. Stim isn't done yet, but Stim will finish by the time the army gets across the map. And again, the goal for SKillous is to survive long enough to get that first Colossus out. Looks like we're going for a second immortal first. Okay. Building up that immortal count. Just to make sure we have an army to defend. Force fields are also going to be paramount here as well. Just because, I mean, there's no answer to force fields. We can cut the army in half. We stim forward. We get one sentry. One sentry goes up, but the stasis does get baited in. Oh my god. We catch the army, and just like that, SKillous, he will shut this down. ByuN has to back off. We have plenty of time to warp in extra rounds. So get ready with our shield batteries. Colossus is halfway done. And ByuN, with this army, is going to try and get away or try and focus on as much as he can. Nice, stims away. Does get a shield battery. Getting one, getting two, getting three sentries. Okay, not bad. He's forced back home. Oracle across the map does confirm. Still no third TC. We're doubling down here, getting up to 5 Raxes. There we go, third CC afterwards. After the Oracle went down. But SKillous is held. And look at the worker counts right now. We have SKillous up 10 probes to the 48, or to now 50 SCVs of ByuN. So SKillous, he does have that economic lead. As a reminder, last game, at the end of the aggression, ByuN was actually ahead in workers. I think he had like 68 against the around 60 of SKillous. So again, we do see ByuN having a little less success this time. And the third base is, of course, still on the way. So in production, ByuN, thankfully, from the side of the Terran player, did preserve a lot of his army. Looking at the resources lost tab, we lost 13 Marines and 1 Marauder. We retained quite a lot here, and that means we can get into drop play as soon as these medevacs come out. Medevacs are halfway done, and the pressure is going to be on ByuN to make use of this army, to make use of those drops. Otherwise, SKillous is going to run away with this. As he's already on 2 Colossus, soon to be 3. 3 Colossus is a count we never got up to in the last game as well. Bear that in mind. As the game was so chaotic and there were just so many engagements that SKillous would often bleed them out before it could build up. But we're getting there. Likewise, additional gas is being taken. Blink is on the way. Not so much charge. Breaking towards +1 and Blink. Double drop dipping in. To be forced away as SKillous is in position. Has split up his army. And so far is keeping up. Shade confirms the drop. Well, as you can see, ByuN getting in position to deny the fourth. His army is spotted, and SKillous is here. So very nice positioning here from SKillous. See ByuN trying to pull him apart. For the most part, SKillous is ready. Does get a medevac. Oh, not quite the second. Leading out a couple of stalkers. But we'll clean this up. Ooh, medevac up. Ooh, does go down as well. Very nice cleanup here from SKillous. Get home, ByuN forced back. The drop play was unsuccessful. He was trying to apply pressure at the fourth and at the natural, and it did kind of fall in its face. With that, SKillous now built up to his critical massive Colossus. He's on 3. From here, he can start disruptor production. Oh, he built up towards 4. Oh my god. Okay. 4 Colossus. We're pushing. We have 4 Colossus. We have plenty of Blink Stalkers, +1. The Prism to reinforce. And ByuN is in a bit of trouble here. Does have a lot of ghosts though. He has a lot of EMP potential. The army is spotted. ByuN moving in. Slowly chip away at these depots. EMP does connect. Oh, juicy EMP there from ByuN. Strips away the shields of most of the Colossus. Not all, but most. The concave is real. Boys can be pulled if need be. Vikings putting in some work. The Colossus, still 4 of them, and they still swipe away at the army. A lot of Marines going to be going down. The Vikings are cleaned up. And these Colossus, they're still doing so much in the back line. Yeah, they break through the main army. 1 Colossus falls. GG gets called as ByuN runs out of steam. And SKillous ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. Oh my god. Again, SKillous this time had a much stronger response to the build of ByuN, completely shut it down, and I was a little bit shocked myself to see him build up towards 4 Colossus, and that was quite a timing there from SKillous. ByuN, even though he had a solid concave, because he had bled out so much in the lead up to this, he was a little bit more vulnerable there. And SKillous, with his juggling, with his positioning, was able to get the most out of those 4 Colossus. Typically, the reason why you stop at 3 is because of the overkill, or just how much wasted DPS there is that your Colossus have. But if you can spread them out like that, if you can spread them out and just maximize the amount of damage that they can all do, then it's insane how much they can get done. And GG, a solid engagement there from SKillous. We tie things up 1-1. We are going to the ace match. Let's go. Let us go. So making our way here to Alkyone. Oh, we have a clown in the chat. Esther, Dave, true. Imagine opening up 3 racks, not getting any damage done, and then dying. And that's kind of what happened. I mean, aye. Imagine putting the whole game into context. As we're getting into the ace match, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our blue Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. Whew. Being forced into the ace match. Can he bounce back? It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player representing Team Liquid, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. It is SKillous. Here we go. So we are settling into this. Yeah, if you want to cry about balance in the chat, you can go to Reddit, you can go to the ESL Twitch chat, and not here. Esther Dave. For now, we're settling in. We are going to be settling in. And we have had 3 racks variations every game so far. So game 1 was 3CC 3 racks out of ByuN. Game 2 was a straight up 3 racks, a little more committed, which meant that he had to do more damage with it. We saw that it didn't, or that he didn't. What kind of 3CC do we see this time? Or I should say, 3 racks do we see this time? Is the question. for now, Rax Expand. Economic opener here out of ByuN. He's done so every game so far. It's been a single gas opener. There's a CC on the low ground. It is going to be delayed a little bit, but only by a couple of seconds. You know, thankfully we can just lift this, we can land this. It is a little bit more inefficient, but ByuN thankfully doesn't delay his CC for too much longer as it is on the way. And okay, for the first time we're opening up with a factory follow-up. A very different build here by ByuN. I'm excited. We have options, we have possibilities. We can double down, we can open up Widowmine and go for some more old school Widowmine drops. We can go for some safety Cyclones early on, rush into early tanks. We'll see, as we're going to be seeing a very different dynamic now in this TvP. Back at home, yet to throw down our take of choice. The previous game we did see a Stargate opener into Oracle from SKillous. The game before that was Blink. We have yet to see a Robo opener from our Protoss player, but I'm sure we'll get there. Ooh, the Zealot does arrive. We do delay the CC, and the Marines are still on the way. Reaper racing back home. This is actually a pretty big deal. This is a massive delay here for ByuN. It wasn't just the fact that we have to rebuild, or I say rebuild, lift and land the CC. Now it's not even built. Marines do pop out. Reaper races back home. It does take a lot of hits. And again, the goal here is just to delay that expansion for as long as possible. We bust into the main base. One Marine goes down. Reaper goes down as well. Eventually, this will be cleaned up, but we pick off another Marine. Very nice start here by SKillous. With the arrival of the Cyclone, finally ByuN can get this back under control. SKillous backs the hell up, is aware of now the Cyclone. And we're following this up with a 4-gate. Oh boy, SKillous now being the aggressor here. It's going to be 4-gate Blink. Now, very important that we did open up 1-1-1. This can lead into early tank production. We do need those tanks to survive the early game to defend. But SKillous, this is a kind of a side of him that I haven't seen too much of. Third base to be taken. The drop is scattered by the hallucination. Now, what is interesting to me is that we're throwing down a third base before Robo. Like, this is 4-gate Blink, but without a Robo, which means there's no Warp Prism, which means we can't reinforce across the map. So, curious. This could just be a more defensive opener here by SKillous. This is trying to keep up with the drop play. Drop here towards the right-hand side. Threatens that third. Headed towards the main base. SKillous does read this, is in position. We have 3 Stalkers here in the main. A handful here towards the natural. Third is exposed, but there aren't enough Marines here to really threaten it too much. The game is settling down, and Robo just now on the way. So yeah, it looks like the 4-gate Blink is just more of a defensive response here, reaction, maybe in preparation for an all-in. Like, if ByuN had doubled down and just sent an army across the map early on and gone for a fast tank, then we would shut it down. We can see, though, that ByuN is still building on his production and is opening up Banshee. Okay. Quick Banshee here from ByuN, moving out with a handful of Marines with his Cyclone. Mindshot catching a Stalker. Well, SKillous face checking, does run into the army. Oh! Late reaction, 1 Stalker goes down. That's 2 Stalkers falling. That is a pretty big deal here. ByuN now moving out. SKillous does need to be careful. That Stalker's low. Oh! We bleed another Stalker. Bleed out another. That's 3 Stalkers falling. Oh, SKillous bleeding out a 4th as well. At the same time, Banshee into the main base. Probes are going down. ByuN pulling SKillous apart. 6 probes in the main, and we need that detection. Do we have any? We do not. Observer just now popped out. And that late Robo, it's killing SKillous. Observer now coming in, but we got 12 probe kills. Oof. That's an insane amount of damage just early on. Blacklights, we've been bleeding out a lot of Stalkers. The Observer's not here. The Banshee getting free damage on the Stalkers. And SKillous cannot move out. Has to pull back, has to retreat. And just like that, ByuN now takes an economic lead. Doesn't have a 3rd CC on the way yet. Is still on 2 base. Still building up. But again, we pointed out that more delayed robo here from SKillous, which means delayed detection. Third CC now on the way. Those Banshees did so much, and we're not done. That Banshee's still alive, still out there. Headed towards the natural base. And does slip in. Back at home, we do have an observer. This time we do shut this down, only getting 2 probe kills. A much cleaner defense by SKillous. But we need more than that. ByuN moving out, going for a double jump towards the left-hand side. SKillous with not much vision out on the map either. There is an observer, does catch the drop. Is spotted. Does react in time. No shield battery here at the natural base. Immortal coming in. And as SKillous is distracted, we dive into the third. Going for the Stalkers. But the blinks are good. SKillous not losing anything here, at least at the natural. Sorry, at the third. But over at the natural base, we are getting damage done. Well, the Immortal goes down. The Immortal gets picked up. SKillous does deflect an army, though. Is holding on. SKillous still maintaining a worker lead. Still has that third base saturated. Is holding his own. Barely catching that medevac, but ooh, bleeds out a Stalker. Catches the second medevac. Not bad. Does catch it in the end. And from here, we're going to be calming things down at least a little bit. ByuN now getting his third base up and running, getting saturated, catching up in the economy. Still being very drop heavy with his Bio Marauder. No tanks. A handful of Widow Mines is being sprinkled in. And Ghost Academy has begun. Working towards a Ghost. You know, SKillous calming things down as well, working towards Colossus. Again, SKillous, he's going to have to be the defender here. Just because he's bled out too many Stalkers, it's going to be difficult for him to be too active on the map. So he's stuck at home, getting a fourth. And we're seeing a similar style that we saw earlier this series. I don't see any additional gases yet. So we might just go for more gateway heavy composition. More charged heavy composition. As ByuN moves out, Observer does spot the move out. SKillous is aware. SKillous is getting ready. I'm paranoid about a push here towards the fourth. ByuN is headed in that direction. Knocks down the rocks, scans the army. Does spot SKillous out of position. We head towards the fourth base. We head towards the shield battery, goes down. Only one Colossus here in position. The bite shots up. Oh, big connections. So have 2 more Widow Mines behind this. And SKillous, oh, he just doesn't have enough Zealots. There we go. We come in from behind. We surround the army. We force ByuN back, and he will hold on to the base. Oh, ooh, even getting the medevac. Medevac goes down. The base is saved. Did cost us a couple of probes, but SKillous does keep up. Whew. SKillous does keep up for now. Again, if you were curious why he had so little to defend here, he had a Colossus on the left-hand side just in case there was a drop towards the natural. To have an army there, pulling everything here together. And we're headed towards a more longer macro game. I mean, hey, welcome to Alkione, a game where, because the rush distance is a little bit longer, because there's so many bases, the game can slow down and we can embrace this a little bit more into the mid to late game. Now, Vikings are on the way. Ghost as well. 4th CC in production for ByuN. Likewise, SKillous getting fully saturated. SKillous still opting not to take extra gases. But this time he is built up towards 3 Colossus. And now a 4th Colossus on the way. Okay, we cancel. Never mind. We do cancel the Colossus. 2nd Robo's in production. We are taking extra gases. Let's go. So this will eventually lead into Disruptor production. Meanwhile, ByuN turtling up back at home. We have the sensor tower. Getting ready for run-bys. This time we're going to be able to sink our teeth into a more longer game between these two. It's been a pretty chaotic series so far, both in Game 1 and in Game 2. But our players are looking to max out. Decent mine shot. Does go up. ByuN having a hard time engaging here at the Zolnaga is going to have to back off. Again, these choke points are brutal. Zell's trying to come in from behind. They are spotted. Ooh. We avoid the mine shots. SKillous doesn't quite get this around with those zealots. Does back off. Does retreat. Gold base is getting up. ByuN on 4 bases as well. Both players should be looking to max. And SKillous has potential here. Again, the Widowmine count was reset, and we're pushing on the right-hand side. Yeah, we're going for the mineral line. SCVs are going to be going down. Nice EMP on the Colossus. And the Vikings, they collapse in. They take down one. One Colossus falls. Ooh, the Prism goes down as well. And the Colossus are a little bit too far back. They can't quite engage. And they're going down to the Vikings. Yeah, a brutal fight there for SKillous as he bleeds out every single Colossus, almost the entire army. And that was a brutal fight. Like, the EMPs were perfect for ByuN. They connect with the Colossus. The Vikings were in position as well to follow up on the EMPs. And those Colossus almost did nothing in the fight. And now SKillous is up against the wall here. The supplies are similar, but SKillous has a purely gateway army. No splash damage. Is in trouble. ByuN stepping on forward, going for the gold base. Vikings gonna be landing. Mortals are coming in. They can help against the Marauders. Yeah, really awkward engaged by ByuN. He has to pick up. He has to get the hell out of here. Does have to back up. And we will reset the Vikings, which means suddenly Colossus, they're looking a little bit more attractive, or a little bit more attractive here for SKillous. No Vikings, limited anti-air. They can come back into play. The downside is that we haven't been able to embrace disruptors yet. I'm sure we'll get there after this wave of Colossus. But SKillous is still stuck on Stalker Zealot. Planetary now up. Another CC on the way. 3-3 on the horizon here for ByuN. Almost there. Is almost at that 3-3, just building back up. Thankfully, he's remaking those Vikings. Is aware that he's a little bit vulnerable, whether it's Colossus or even Skytoss. Wants to be ready for anything. Only making 4, not over investing. Colossus have arrived. Still making 2 more behind this, going up to 4. And SKillous, he just has to slow down the army, buy time for the additional Colossus. Let's get a nice little trade there for SKillous. Picking up some Marines. Pulling back. Colossus, they have arrived. SKillous has maxed out. And it looks like he wants to try to engage, but again, pushing past this Zolnaga is brutal. They are pulling back. Viking goes down. We do get a nice volley on the Colossus, though. We get a nice volley as ByuN is long distance mining at the gold. Let's go. Is now taking it. Gold base on the way. Disruptors finally in production for SKillous. So you just had to free up some supply. ByuN now has 3-3. We push in once again. One of the Vikings going down. Sorry, one of the Colossus going down immediately. Yeah, the EMPs are brutal. The Colossus, they fall one after the other. A little bit too heavily reliant on them. And the army just melts. ByuN takes a massive supply lead. At the same time, we have a warp in into the main base. I mean, we're getting damage done. We're going to force ByuN back home. The main is under threat. But nah, ByuN, he doesn't take the bait. He keeps pushing. Is moving out, and SKillous is in trouble. There he goes up. Up! Gets 3 ghosts. Not bad. But these disruptors are a little bit too little too late. Yeah, the Vikings, they drop in. We collapse on the goal base. It's going to go down. And there's nothing to stop us. We can keep pushing. Like, ByuN finally got the fight that he wanted. Nova grazes the army. And we're going to be connecting here towards the end as well. Not bad. We deny the warp in. Disruptors are going down left and right. We bleed out every single probe, and this base will fall as well. And the dominoes falling one after the other. ByuN bleeding out some of his army. Has to retreat, has to remax or consolidate his army. But he's done enough. He killed 2 bases and 22 workers. Do dive on the Vikings, we focus them down, but the Colossus will still fall. Nice splits there from ByuN, avoids the Nova. GG gets called as we collapse on the army. We bring it all down, and ByuN will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played again. Oh, again there, especially that late into a game. Unfortunately, SKillous was so heavily reliant on those Colossus. Ideally, at that point, you do want to split up or diversify your army, especially with something like, whether it's Disruptor or Storm, they both have their place. More than anything, it's even less about the damage that they do and more about the micro that they force, right? They force the Terran player to split, to pull back, to spread out their units a little bit more, to be a little bit more hesitant about diving in as well. But when we're, again, just relying on just pure Colossus there, like it can be easier to shut down, depending on the engagement, of course. And I mean, we saw some brutal EMPs on said Colossus. GG. GG, well played. ByuN does take it in the end, but a shout out to SKillous because he made a series out of this. Didn't do too poorly whatsoever. TG as ByuN does bring SKillous down, and you can see it already here on the screen. Up next, ByuN advances on to face off against MaxPax in the semifinals. Let's go.